The Leominster City Council meeting is funded in part by DeCarolis Insurance Agency at www.decarolisinsuranceagency.com.
Why you want to come here and work, and what drew you to Leominster and what you expect to accomplish. So I will turn that over to you at this point.
Okay, thank you. My background, I've got over 30 years commercial and industrial appraising with residential also. In the year 2000 in Shrewsbury, I was named to the Board of Assessors as, one of three people. Then in 2008, when the full-time assessor retired, I was named to the position, and I've been in Shrewsbury since. It's at that point in my life where I feel like I want to back off a little. I'm familiar with Leominster first from just knowing a number of the assessors up there, starting with Walter and going forward. Met with him in meetings, classes, and the like. Many years ago in the 80s, I think the mid-1980s, I ran the Fallon Clinic that was in Leominster, so I'm familiar with the area. Leominster has a nice mix of commercial, industrial, and then obviously residential and multifamily properties with which I'm familiar. I'm at the point where I could retire, but I want to keep active, and when this position presented itself, it was really almost as if I tried to write the job description for myself. I enjoy the challenge. My qualifications, I have a commercial general license appraiser from Massachusetts. I have taken all the classes for the Appraisal Institute courses and, continuing education and the like. I've taught courses for the Worcester County Association, taught and lectured the state organization 2 to 3 times, and along with the Department of Revenue. I've been in front of the Appellate Tax Board a number of times, and I'm also qualified as an expert witness in Worcester Superior Court for real estate, commercial and residential. And that's a brief summary, but please, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, just looking at, I don't know if you're aware or not, I am also an appraiser. So
I'm sorry, so that part of that, okay.
I'm sorry?
No, it broke up there for a little bit, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, I just wanted, just relaying the fact that I'm an appraiser as well. So I'm pretty familiar with a lot of these, the education. We've taken a lot of the same courses. At one point when it started, they weren't very, they were few and far between as to what you had to take for licensing. So, but I'm impressed with the fact that you have experience with the hotel and motels, which we have, with shopping centers, and we've got. There's always room for challenging assessments when we get to properties of that magnitude. And Mass Association of Assessing Officers is a pretty respectable organization, and I know you've been involved in that, and you still from 2000 to now, and that's with our former Bill and Christine. I still call her Litchfield, but she's Christine Purple now.
Oh, sure. Yes. Yep.
She worked at the MMA for years before she went to that board. So, there's a lot of, you have a lot of the background that Leominster needs. So you definitely have it tagged properly in terms of how we are with our solar fields, prospective solar fields that are going to be the future, and a lot of areas with the Mall of Whitney Field is going to be a challenge coming up, and there's a lot of issues, and it's not a place for someone without experience to walk into. And Leominster prides itself in being understanding when people come in and ask about their taxes. I mean, all the years, we get a lot of calls because it's my profession as well, but I don't think I've gotten very many calls in 10 years regarding anything other than polite and professional. And, that's important to us as a city, but also getting the job done. So I'm quite satisfied. And right now I'm John Dombrowski is the third member of Ways and Means. So I'm going to go to him to see if he has any questions at this point. John, Council?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Frida. Good evening, Mr. Reedy. I don't have any questions. Looking at your resume, I fully agree with you that your background is a wonderful complement to the makeup and needs of the city of Leominster. So I'm thankful that you've been appointed, and I wish you all the luck in the world.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to this. I hate to say it's going to be fun, but it's a good challenge. And okay. The other thing is, I love a good fight with lawyers, and generally I do my homework. Let's put it that way.
We have 3 on the council, so.
Okay, well, they're not in front of us, so that's fine.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, are there any other councilors that have any questions for Mr. Reedy? Again, anybody else have any questions? Okay, if not, Mr. Reedy will present this. We'll can ask the council president if he will bring this to the front of the agenda so early on that we will be confirming the appointment. So
Okay.
Thank you for coming in, and thank you for applying, and thank you for wanting to come here. Looking forward to it.
Well, you're welcome, and I'm going to enjoy it. That's my plan.
It's great. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And Councilor Frida, that may be done once we open the regular meeting. We can take all these up.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome, Councilor Frida.
Next, we have the appointment of Kyle Shelton as a volunteer with the Office of Emergency Management. Is Mr. Shelton online?
Yes, I am, Councilor Frida. Thank you.
And good evening, Mr. Shelton. How are you?
I'm very good, and you?
Good, thanks. I'm going to ask you to do the same as the previous interviewee. Give us a little bit of your background and why, what you would be doing in emergency management and why you want to be here volunteering your time. So I'll let you go, and then we'll ask questions after.
Of course. So I'm actually a graduate of Thomas Edison State University. I have my bachelor's in Homeland Security and Emergency Management. I'm actually working on my master's in counterterrorism right now. I've been involved in emergency management in a lot of different places within Worcester County. I was actually an intern at Central Mass EMS Corporation back in the summer of 2020. 2020 was actually, of course, a very busy year for emergency management at the time. I also participated in the Holden and Sterling Community Emergency Response teams helping them out with whatever. And at the time, we did a lot to do with COVID-19. We were doing things with vaccination clinics. We did some of that this year as well. Well, actually, most of the vaccination clinics were this year, but we did other things such as assisting with the Sterling Annual Town Meeting and making sure that that was done with COVID safety precautions in mind. We also directed traffic, unfortunately, for the wake of an officer in Rutland that ended up passing from COVID-19. So all in all, with both of those community emergency response teams, I've clocked probably around 60 hours or so in just, I think I joined in December of 2020. Or actually, no, that was December of 2019. So yes, it's been about a full year now, or a little over. And on top of that, I've been active volunteer with the Worcester County Reserve Deputy Sheriff's Association, and also a few other organizations. So much of my background has to do with emergency management. I did work at the State Senate briefly, and that also gave me good skills in customer service, constituent relations, professional development, things of that nature, and helping to kind of develop a sense of service to the people of the Worcester Middlesex District. I'm looking to work with the Leominster Office of Emergency Management to gain experience with emergency management. I know Director LeBlanc, he's very knowledgeable in this area. He's worked emergency management for about 55 years, as far as I'm aware. And it would be really to learn from him what the ropes are, and then eventually, you know, I'm hoping to work for the state or the federal government. So the experience that I would gather here would be phenomenal, and also to be able to help the city of Leominster. I was actually born in Leominster, so and I've lived in the area my entire life. So Leominster definitely has a special place for me, and so those are basically my qualifications and my interest. Was there another topic area that you wanted me to address as well, Councilor Frida?
Yeah, I don't know if I got where what your present occupation is now.
My present occupation is a security officer, a full-time security officer in Littleton.
Okay, all right. Okay, no, I think you answered all the questions I was looking for. So I appreciate that, and you certainly have a great background. So and this year was definitely an abnormal year for emergency management in every community with COVID. So I'm going to go on to Councilor Dombrowski, who is the third member of Ways and Means, if he has any questions. Councilor Dombrowski?
Thank you. No, I don't have any questions. I just want to thank Mr. Shelton for volunteering, and I wish him well.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors have any questions or comments? Again? All right. Thank you, Mr. Shelton, for taking the time to come in and be interviewed, and we look forward to voting on your appointment.
Thank you, Councilor Frida. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to Stanley Parker. Is Stanley Parker on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Good evening. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Good. You've heard the previous scenario, and we'd like you to do the same. If you could give us a little summary of your background and why you want to be in Leominster and what you're doing presently, and how you will fit into Office of Emergency Management.
Sure, I'd love to. Well, I'm a local resident. I was born here in Leominster, left for a few years when I was a kid, and I came back. It's a great town. I've the company I worked for 20 plus years basically got bought out by another company, which is why I'm no longer there. But while there, I guess my title, you could say, was a logistics manager. I've shipped all over the world. I've shipped for various publishers. I've shipped for emergency management training manuals. I've also shipped to parts of Africa. which for various crises, I was able to get the shipments through, which can sometimes be a logistical nightmare trying to get, certain medications and hazardous things through certain customs. But, after a while, you kind of find a way to get those things done. So I've done similar things to that before. What actually brought me to the Office of Emergency Management was when I got laid off, I was basically looking for something to do. And I found the lunch program. Actually, my daughter found it because I'm not on Facebook. My daughter found it. And she knew it was something I'd be interested in. So I started off there. And then from there, it kind of grew. I started doing other tasks at the Office of Emergency Management, whether it was driving the elderly to get their shots or driving the homeless to where they needed to be, things of that nature. I'm also signed up for the canteen crew there. I've met a bunch of wonderful people there, and it's a great program. But I've also helped out with the like the sledding day and things of that nature there. Again,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm a longtime resident. I was born here. My daughter actually went to Pittsburgh State. She actually graduated from their police academy there, and she's actually applied to be a Leominster police officer. So hopefully that goes through.
Right.
She's currently in the National Guard. She's currently deployed, but she is in the National Guard, active duty. So she graduated not too long ago, a couple of years ago. She's looking to do that.
So as far as you, is there a particular part of emergency management that you're looking to set your sights on, or just a general wherever needed?
I'm actually looking more just to be general wherever they need me.
Okay.
I'm actually going to be starting a job with the Leominster DPW. So I'm still going to be.
Okay.
So I am actually going to have to limit myself now, but I would still like to be part of the group whenever they need me or whenever they can fit me in. But I will be starting with DPW.
All right, perfect. I'm good with that. Let me go to Councilor Dombrowski.
Thank you, Councilor Frida. I don't have any questions for Mr. Parker. I just want to commend him for his volunteer service and thank him for volunteering and wish him the best.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilor. Are there any other councilors that have any questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Mr. Parker. I appreciate you taking the time to come in and look forward to your vote on your appointment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Luanne Longnecker. Luanne, are you on the line?
Hi, Councilor Frida. Yes, I am. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yeah, so far, so good.
And I also have my husband, husband Fred, is on the line also. So you have the 2 for 1 at the same time because we're both on the list.
Okay, that's fine. And the essence of time, well, if you don't have an issue, we can do the 2 of you at the same time. That would be great.
Yeah, I think my husband has a couple of remarks.
What I'm assuming you want us to address the same questions as before. We're both retired. We've worked for 30 years, myself in the pharmaceutical regulatory affairs, and my wife as a musician/educator. We moved up from New Jersey about 6 years ago when my company at the time moved up here, and I have since retired from that job. We've been doing other volunteer activities in the area. I with the food bank, my wife with the hospital.
Yeah, I'm also currently the secretary to the Cultural Council here in Leominster.
So the what? I'm sorry, you broke up there a minute.
For the Cultural Council.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, so back in December, my wife was on the Facebook, and she saw the posting asking for volunteers to help with the lunch program. So we felt that was something that we could do. And so we signed up to do that. I've been doing that. A few weeks after we started, we were told we needed to apply for OEM. We weren't quite sure why, but we filled out the paperwork. So we're not actually looking to join OEM. We're looking to continue doing the lunch program until it's over. And if there are other situations where we can volunteer time in the city, we will look open to doing that. But we're not particularly looking to join OEM per se. I know that may not be quite what you're looking to hear, but that's kind of where we are.
Well, it's not what we want to hear. It's the fact that we have a request to confirm an appointment for each of you on OEM. So I think that's, we'll have to see if that's a question mark with the rest of the council.
To join.
No, we,
You're not asked to join OEM.
no, essentially, a couple of weeks after we started with the lunch program, and we have been doing that 2 days a week since December. A couple weeks in, we were given paperwork and were instructed to complete the paperwork. So we assumed that at the point that was paperwork that was required in order for us to continue to do the lunch program. As my husband mentioned, we do have other things that we have been doing that basically have been on hold because of COVID. And so we felt that with the need for the lunch program, that this was a way that we would be able to, to help out during COVID. Other folks have talked about the canteen and that, we just aren't able to do that. I have been part of a team at OEM that has been helping out with the vaccine calls for the mayor's office. We have had groups of people going in during the day to help the mayor's office to call and help to set up appointments, confirm appointments, and that sort of thing. But I guess basically, in terms of OEM, we're not really looking for something on a continuum.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have a discussion about that during our meeting, and thank you for your honesty. That's important. But the lunch program was definitely my assumption would be they wanted to be sure they knew exactly who was delivering the lunches, because that was pretty important. It was a great program that was established. So
right, and we understand that, and so we assumed that the paperwork was to verify that we were doing this. So I don't know whether there has been a misunderstanding, miscommunication, whatever. But anyway, that's
we'll resolve it one way or the other.
All right, Councilor Frida, thank you.
I'm going to go to Councilor Dombrowski, see if he has any questions.
Thank you, Councilor Frida. I don't have any questions. I am fairly confident that the lunch program, particularly during COVID, has been largely run by the emergency management people. So I think that's probably why the Longneckers were asked to go through this process.
Right.
So I'm pretty confident of that, but I don't have any questions. I'm continually amazed at the high quality level of volunteers that the city does get, and the Longneckers are certainly no exception. So I just, thank them for all the volunteer work that they've been doing, and again, wish them well.
All right. Thank you, Counselor. Are there any other counselors that have any questions or comments? Okay, if not, thank you, both of you, for taking the time to come in and talk with us, and we'll be in touch soon.
All right, thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Leslie Regan. Is Leslie on the line?
Yes, I am, Rita. Thank you.
How are you?
Good.
I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. Just give us a brief summary of what you do and a little bit of your background and why you want to be with emergency management.
Okay, I'll do that with me, and my wife's also here too. So
Okay.
we'll talk to her afterwards at the same time. I'm from Claremont, New Hampshire. I moved here 62. I've been a Leominster resident ever since. I graduated from Leominster Trade School as a machinist. I worked in tool and die shops in Leominster for all my working career. I retired last April, so I'm unemployed right now, of course. So I found this, I've done a lot with baseball and soccer through the years, being assistant coaches, Special Olympics I used to do with basketball and soccer, which I really enjoyed too. It makes me feel good making kids smile and enjoy the game. So now I found out the emergency management through my son, Jason Regan, which he's a member already,
Okay.
which he's affiliated with a lot of those things. And in November, I started doing the food, delivering the food. I do it twice a week. I drive almost every vehicle down there now. I've been trained on that. I've gone through a couple of fires in the canteen truck, and I'm qualified to drive the canteen truck now. And I plan on progressing that. We're taking care of the canteen, filling the food up, and taking care of all that. I've been making phone calls in and out of the virus through City Hall, and I'm enjoying all this that I'm doing. So
are you looking to just do general work where you need it in emergency management, or do you have a specific goal?
it seems like we're leaning towards doing the canteen, going
Okay,
to fires.
That's important.
Like I said, I've gone to a couple of fires, but at that time I wasn't driving. But I went to the fires, and we give out, drinks and coffee and whatnot. And
Perfect.
well, I know we're appreciated, and I appreciate doing it.
Absolutely. Donna, do you have anything you'd like to add, or was that summed up for both of you?
Well, he did a really good job with that. I agree with a lot of it. I was born in Leominster also, I've lived here all my life. I probably will die here. I see no reason to leave. It's a wonderful city. Let's see,
Right.
I've worked in the school system for 15 years, and then I went to the Registry of Deeds, and I've been there for 18 years. I'm retiring this summer, so I will have more time to devote to volunteering and stuff. Like Les said, we've been on the canteen truck, and I totally enjoyed it. It's when you tell the firefighters, you've done a good job, and they say, well, if you love your job, can you call it a job? And
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, they do an awesome job. So it's rewarding to reward them with all this extra stuff that we give them.
All right. Well,
Yep.
yeah, thank you for what you do. I'm going to go to Councilor Dombrowski now to quickly ask him if he has any questions before we have to legally open our meeting.
Okay.
Councilor Dombrowski.
No, thank you, Council Frida. No, I don't have any questions. I just want to thank Donna and Les for all their hard work and thank them for volunteering and just wish them well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Any other
Councilor Frida?
Just still checking if there are any other councilors that have any other questions. If not, thank you both for coming in, and we appreciate it, and good luck. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Okay, Councilor Frida, we'll open the meeting and then we'll get a recess so you can finish the last candidate. If you'd all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, take a roll call of the councils in attendance, starting with Councilor Frida.
Present.
Councilor Dombrowski.
Present.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr.
Present.
We'll note Councilor Feckley's absence. Councilor Angelini.
Present.
Councilor Ardinger. Councilor Ardinger.
Hold on one second, Councilor Dombrowski.
Muted,
There we go.
present.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Councilor Pauline Cormier.
Present.
Councilor David Cormier.
Present.
I shall be recorded as present. 8 councilors are in attendance. Councilor Feckley is absent. Okay, given Councilor Feckley is the chairwoman of records, I guess we're going to have to postpone the acceptance of the March 22nd minutes till our next meeting. That being said, I'll entertain a motion to go into recess.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Frida, second Councilor Ardinger. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are in recess. Councilor Frida, you may continue with the interviews.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm kind of confused on this next one, Teresa Sowell, but for some reason I thought she was a reappointment. Am I correct in assuming that, Madam Clerk? Or no?
So when it came in from the mayor's office, it said an appointment, but I've been told that she is a reappointment, but she is on the line.
Okay, all right. She's got such a good resume that we'll let Teresa talk about it. Teresa, you on the line?
Yes, I am. Hello, Councilor Frieder and the council members. I am actually an appointment and not a reappointment. I know there was some confusion with that, but this is the first time being requested to be on the Recreation Commission.
Okay, but you served with the Recreation Commission before?
Nope, never.
Oh, you haven't? Okay, I thought you were involved in camp counseling and some of the.
I worked for them many years ago.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right, well, I'm gonna ask you to do the same thing then, to give a little bit of, you got a phenomenal background, a little bit of your background and why you want to be on the Recreation Commission and what your goal is.
Sure, no problem. So I was born and raised in Leominster. I have lived here all my life. And as I said, I worked for the Recreation Department when I was in college, and then subsequently stayed involved with recreational activities in Leominster, from coaching Pop Warner to being on the Pop Warner board, to working with Lassie League, to Babe Ruth, to, I mean, you name it, I think I've been there. I currently am a government employee, civilian, working in Natick. And I saw that there was opening on the Recreation Commission and thought, wow, I've really been involved in a lot of recreational activities in the city. And I think that they're important in the city to have recreational activities for everyone of all ages. So I decided that this would be fitting for me. And I know Judy Sumner very well and said, I think it would be fun to keep up and participate and make sure that there are recreational activities going on in our city. And so that's why I'm here tonight.
Okay, I know I'm well aware of a lot of your activities. I know you're very involved in St. Anna's and cheerleading and in a lot of other areas as well. And, you know, you're pretty well rounded in terms of recreation and working with youth in a very positive way. So, you know, I'm really very comfortable with your with your resume and your background. So with that, I'm going to go to Councilor Dombrowski.
Thank you, Councilor Frida. Yes, I'm very comfortable with Teresa's background, and that's a commission that needs a lot of enthusiasm, and it sounds like you're going to fit the bill perfectly. So I just want to thank you for volunteering and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other councilors that have any questions or comments? All right, Teresa, thank you for taking the time to come in and for clarifying the position. And we look forward to dealing with your appointment shortly.
Thank you very much, Councilor Frida.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, Mr. President, I'm good.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilor Frida, for your efforts. We are now back in session, starting with communications from the mayor.
We have public forum.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to conduct the public forum, so we're not back in session. The public forum is an opportunity for any member of the audience to speak on a matter specifically listed on the council agenda. Speakers will be asked to come to the microphone and state their formal name and address, along with identifying the specific item or items they wish to address. Each speaker is respectfully asked to keep their comments within a 2-minute time frame. The council will not be responding or answering any questions. However, at the discretion of the council president, clarification may be given. Is there any member of the public that wishes to address the city council in the public forum? And for a second time, is there any member of the public that wishes to address the city council in the public forum? And a third and final time, is there any member of the public that wishes to address the city council in the public forum? Hearing none, I'll declare the public forum closed, and we are now back in session, starting with communications from the mayor and C70.
C70, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $35,000 be made to the assessor's expense account, the same amount to be transferred from the assessor's salary and wages account, regarding appraisal services for Whitney Field abatement and silico inspection services of all properties.
C70 is referred to the chairman of finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. First time on the calendar, regular course.
Very well. C70 is given regular course. C71.
Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $50,000 be made to the municipal building expense account, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization fund, regarding to fund building improvements for city buildings, including 210 Lancaster Street.
C71 is referred to the chairman of finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, first time on the calendar, regular course.
Very well. C71 has been given regular course. Moving on to C72.
C72. Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $17,070 be made to the municipal building expense account, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization fund, regarding additional bat removal costs at 210 Lancaster Street.
C72 is referred to the chairman of finance.
Regular course.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. C73.
C73. Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $108,250 be made to the fire department capital outlay expense account, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization fund, regarding digitized system fire alarm equipment.
C73 is referred to the chairman of finance.
Once again, Mr. President, regular course.
Thank you very much. C73 has been given regular course. C74.
C74. Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $4,000 be made to the planning department expense account, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization fund, regarding professional review of submitted documents.
C74 is referred to the chairman of finance.
Regular course.
Very well. C74 has been given regular course. And C75.
C75. Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor. Pardon me for one moment. I'm going to just mute somebody. Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, request that an appropriation of $6,000 be made to the Planning Department Salary and Wages account, the same amount to be transferred from the Stabilization Fund regarding to increase hours for administrative assistant on a temporary basis.
C-75 is referred to the Chairman of Finance.
Once again, like all the others, first calendar, regular course.
Thank you very much. C-75 has been given regular course. Moving on to page 4 and C-76.
Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, request the City of Leominster to revise Ordinance Chapter 16, Personnel, Article 11, Personnel, Wages and Salary Plan, Division 3, Classification Plan, Section 16-34, Classification of Positions, be amended effective July 1st, 2021 by deleting in its entirety from the existing table. It's going to be class title that I'll read first and then classification as it exists now. Purchasing Agent, S8, Nurse, Public Health, S5, Code Enforcement Inspector, S6, Plumbing Inspector, S7, City Treasurer Collector Assistant, S5, and inserting in their place the following. Again, I'm going to read class title first and then classification. Purchasing Agent, S10, Nurse, Public Health, S7, Code Enforcement Inspector, S7, Plumbing Inspector, S8, City Treasurer Collector Assistant, S6, and by also inserting a new class title and classification as follows: Business Development Coordinator, S7.
Very well. C-76 is referred to the Chairman of Legal Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President. First time on the calendar, regular course with a referral to the mayor's office.
Okay, C-76 has been given regular course with a referral to the mayor's office. Moving on to C-77.
Mr. President, this one is going to be under emergency preamble. We just formatted it slightly different this time.
Okay. All right, and this is a finance matter. If the Chairman of Finance wants to just give us a brief suggestion of why this has to be by emergency preamble.
Mr. President, this involves fire department overtime in which I need to abstain. Because I have a fire department, so I would defer it to the clerk of finance, please.
All right. Councilor Pauline Cormier, could you give us?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Actually, our clerk, Ms. Huffman, was kind enough to reach out to Chief Sidlow today to ask the emergency nature of this. He wrote back, and I'll just briefly from the email. He replied that, again, this was an email to Ms. Huffman. I will not have enough overtime funds to make the 2 readings. I miscalculated the extra week this month. I've had a lot of unexpected absences creating unanticipated overtime. I hope this helps, and if there is, he said to please tell the council that he apologizes, and if there's any additional information, we could refer it to him. So it seems that it was on his radar, he just didn't get it in on time. He miscalculated the extra week. So he's asking, and obviously he will be out of funds for overtime if this is not granted this evening.
Okay. Are you in favor of the emergency preamble?
Yes, Mr. President, it would be my recommendation to grant the emergency preamble in this case, and I ask you to pull the 3rd member of finance, Councilor Angelini.
Councilor Angelini, your position on that?
Well, in light of the fact, I think that the chief was candid with the council. He also did note that he had personnel that were on military leave as well. So I would certainly be supporting.
Okay, so you heard the recommendation of finance to grant the emergency preamble. Is there any discussion?
This is Councilor Frida.
Yes, Councilor.
Do we have any idea why it seemed as unexpected absences? Do we have any idea what those are?
Councilor Cormier, do you have that information or do you not know?
Mr. President, I do have the original letter that was, that went with the original appropriation of $250,000. It's dated March 22nd of 2021. I believe this is in the same, it references the same emergency preamble tonight. I can read that into the record.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
This is from the Leominster Fire Department to Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor. It's dated March 22nd, 2021, regarding the supplemental appropriation request of $250,000 of Fire Department Public Safety overtime account. Dear Mayor Mazzarella, the Fire Department requests the sum of $250,000 for overtime costs from whatever funding source the comptroller deems appropriate. Overtime spent to date is related to normal contract obligations, 6 recruit members in the fire academy, 1 activated for military leave, 4 members on long-term sick leave, and 1 member requiring duty injury coverage. Overtime funds needed for the remainder of this fiscal year will be used for the above with the addition of 3 retirement vacancies. 3 members will be attending a fire academy training along with normal vacancies such as sick, personal, and vacation time. And again, it says thank you for your continued support. Should you have any questions or concerns regarding any of the above, please feel free to contact this office, and it's signed sincerely, Robert Sidlow.
Okay. Any additional discussion? All right, I'm going to do this by roll call vote. Councilor Frida?
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski?
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr?
Yay.
Councilor Angelini?
Yay.
Councilor Councilor Ardinger?
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier?
Yay.
And I shall be recorded as yay. The motion passes by a vote of 7-0 with Councilor David Cormier abstaining. Okay. So we've
That was just the emergency, right?
that was just the emergency preamble. Now, Councilor Pauline Cormier, you have a position on whether to pass the actual item.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. It would be my position to recommend that we grant this appropriation, and I'd ask you to ask the third member of Finance, Councilor Angelini.
Councilor Angelini, your position on it?
I'm in agreement.
Okay, so the recommendation of the Finance Committee is to grant C-77. Any further discussion? This will be by roll call, starting with Councilor Frida.
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski.
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr.
Yay.
Councilor Angelini.
Yay.
Councilor Ardinger.
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yay by a vote of 7-0. C-77 has been passed. Okay. I guess, Councilor Frida, if you want to take up the appointments at this juncture?
Councilor Bedanza?
Yes.
I just need that ordered, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor Pauline Cormier, do you have an order?
I do, Mr. President. Order that the sum of $250,000 be made to the Fire Department overtime account, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization fund. Move for the adoption of the order.
Any further discussion on the adoption of the order? All those in favor of adopting the order, please say yay. Yay.
Yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? The order is adopted by a vote of 7-0. Now we'll move on to Councilor Frida and the appointments.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. What I'm gonna do is separate out Christopher Reedy, and then the rest I'll do in block after that.
Okay.
If that's acceptable.
That's fine.
All right, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, request the confirmation of the appointment of Christopher Reedy to the Board of Assessors of the City of Leominster for a term of 3 years, effective immediately. We heard Mr. Reedy tonight. He comes incredibly well qualified. His courses and his background and his education have been in areas that Leominster has as much commercial property regarding the hotels, the motels, the malls, the shopping centers. Those are all important educational notes and background and in cases of abatements and assessing and putting a proper value on. Looking at the overall background and his desire to work in Leominster and his association with the Mass Association of Assessing Officers is pretty respectable as well. I'll go to Councilor Dombrowski, but my recommendation would be to confirm this appointment.
I agree with I agree with Councilor Frida wholeheartedly.
Okay, so you've heard
So the unanimous recommendation would be to confirm.
Very well, Councilor. You've heard the unanimous recommendation of Ways and Means to grant the confirmation of Mr. Reedy. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be by roll call. Councilor Frida?
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski?
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr?
Yay.
Councilor Angelini?
Yay.
Councilor Ardinger?
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier?
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier?
Yay.
And I shall be recorded as yay by a vote of 8-0. The confirmation of Mr. Reedy has been passed. Councilor Frida, I'll move on.
Okay, I will do these in block. Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, request the appointment of Kyle Shelton as a volunteer in the Office of Emergency Management. Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, request the appointment of Stanley Parker as a volunteer to the Office of Emergency Management. Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, request the appointment of Luanne Longnecker as a volunteer to the Office of Emergency Management. Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, request the appointment of Fred Longnecker as a volunteer to the Office of Emergency Management. Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, request the appointment of Leslie Regan as a volunteer in the Office of Emergency Management. Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, request the appointment of Donna Regan as a volunteer in the Office of Emergency Management. And Dean J. Mazzarella requests the appointment of Teresa Sauerbach to the Recreation Commission, term to expire April 15th, 2022. The recommendation, I'll have to go to Councilor Dombrowski. My recommendation would be to grant, to confirm the appointments in block.
Councilor Dombrowski?
Mr. President, I agree with each of these appointments, confirming them.
All right, very well. So you've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Ways and Means Committee to grant the block appointments of Kyle Shelton, Stanley Parker, Luanne Longnecker, Fred Longnecker, Leslie Regan, Donna Regan, and Teresa Sauerbach. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, this will be by roll call. Councilor Frida?
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski?
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr?
Yay.
Councilor Angelini?
Yay.
Councilor Ardinger?
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier?
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier?
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yay by a vote of 8-0. The appointments are recorded. Moving on to, let's see, where are we? So, Finance, and C62. Is the Chairman of Finance ready to report?
Mr. President, if you'd like, I can give the City of Leominster financial report first.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Why don't you do that first?
Here on July 1, 2020, $14,189,150. We have have earned in interest $24,963.71. And in free cash that was certified from FY19, we added $7,400,164 for a total of $7,425,127.71. After tonight, if everything is approved, we will have spent $4,876,999, and that will leave us with a balance of $16,737,280.98, and that is the financial report.
Any questions?
Mr. President, I have a question.
Yes, Councilor Frida.
Councilor Frida. Do we have a breakdown of the CARES Act money and how that's been spent in the financial picture?
I do not have that in my possession, but I can certainly request that, and everything that has been to date, and where it has been spent and how much is spent. I certainly can do that, and I can get it to the city clerk, and she can distribute it if you'd like.
I think it's kind of important that we know. We've also, I know there's, and I'm thinking you're probably aware of it, and we haven't had a discussion on it yet because we're still waiting for some guidance, but I mean, Leominster is in line to get a substantial amount of federal money, and I know a lot of that is being looked at to plan for when the time does come, but Leominster is in line for close to $20 million, from federal money. So I think, we get a sense as to if there's any planning for that when the guidance comes from the Treasury Department. That would be a great bit of information as well.
Absolutely. I can reach out to the mayor's office tomorrow. I know that I've been doing a lot of the CARES Act stuff, so I'm sure they've got their finger right on the pulse. And I'm assuming
this is American Recovery Act money that's coming soon. It's basically on its way, apparently, but we're just waiting for guidance from the federal government on how we can spend it.
Yeah, I'll certainly get all that information and have it distributed as soon as I get it. So, Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Frida. Does anybody else have any questions regarding the financial report? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to finance and C62.
Okay, C-62, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requests an appropriation of $50,000 be made to the Fire Capital Outlay Expense Account. The same amount to be transferred to the Stabilization Fund. This is regarding repairs to 210 Lancaster Street. I do have a quick explanation here from Chief Sidlow. He's explaining that the fire department requests a sum of $50,000 for the repair, restoration, remodeling of 210 Lancaster Street. The money will be used to replace windows, repair water damage, HVAC systems, electrical and alarm systems, and the construction of fire department offices and training areas. I know that some members of the council, although I was not able to attend, some members of the council went on a tour last week. We were invited. But from what I'm gathering, obviously the department has taken over this building from the police department. They found a use for it, and they absolutely love it. They're going to have a lot of office space in there. I think the wiring inspector is also going to be in there as well. They have an area in there where they can simulate fires and do some training and all sorts of things. So obviously, with that being said, there are just, some things that you got to do to a building that old, to keep up with the maintenance and to retrofit it for the needs of, the department, what they want to do. Be my recommendation that we grant C-62 and would ask that you check with my committee.
Okay, Pauline Cormier, your
I
position?
agree.
Councilor Angelini.
Mr. President, may I add, I was one of the councilors that attended the tour along with Councilor Frida and Councilor Arnder. And I must say they've done a tremendous job to date on what I would call a shoestring budget. the simulation room, as well as and the materials for donated by Home Depot, the majority of those materials. So I think we've done an outstanding job stretching the taxpayer dollar. So I'd be supporting this this evening.
Very well, Counselor. You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee to grant C-62. Is there any further discussion?
Councilor Frida, again.
Yes, Counselor.
I just want to add that I totally support this. You know, I think it's a great resource for the fire department. They've got, you know, a really good plan for it. And, you know, I've long been concerned that building stay as a city building and not be sold on the market. And I'm happy to see that it's going to be a perfect use for the fire department, and it'll be a good neighbor there as well. So I'm very satisfied with supporting that.
Very well, Counselor. Any additional discussion?
Mr. President, Councilor Ardinger.
Yes, Counselor.
Yeah, it was a unique experience touring that building with the chief and looking at what they've done. And as Councilor Angelini said, that they've done so much with that building on a shoestring budget. It's just amazing. And I think anybody that has a chance should go over and take a look at it as soon as possible, because it's going to be a great asset for the city. And I would wholeheartedly support this situation. We have to give them this money, you know?
Okay, very well. Thank you, Councilor Ardinger. Is there any additional discussion? Okay, hearing none, this will be by roll call vote, starting with Councilor Frida.
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski.
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr.
Yay.
Councilor Angelini.
Yay.
Councilor Ardinger.
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier.
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yay. By a vote of 8-0, C-62 is granted. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, order that the sum of $50,000 be made to the Fire Department Capital Outlay Expense Account, the same amount to be transferred from the Stabilization Fund. Move for the adoption of the order.
Heard the request for the adoption.
And also on the order, it's regarding repairs at 210 Lancaster Street, as stated previously. Thank you.
You've heard the request for the adoption of the order. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please say yay. Yay.
Yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? The order is adopted by a vote of 8-0. Moving on to C-64. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr.
Sorry,
President.
the chairman have a report.
Yes, Mr. President, C-64, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $30,750 be made to the maintenance expense account, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization fund. This letter is actually from Peter Nile, although this does pertain to 210 Lane. Dear Mayor Mazzarella, I respectfully request that $30,750 be made into the municipal building maintenance account. These funds are needed to pay for elevator repair work to be performed at 210 Lancaster Street. The building inspector, Peter Nile, is in charge of, that sort of thing, elevator stuff. And clearly the elevator is not in working order, and it needs to be, if the building is going to be in use, we need to be compliant and have an elevator that works. So obviously it would be my opinion that we grant C-64, and I'll ask you to check with members of my committee.
Very well. Councilor Pauline Cormier.
I agree.
And Councilor Angelini.
I will make it unanimous, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee to grant C-64. Is any additional discussion? Hearing none, this will be by roll call. Councilor Frida.
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski.
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr.
Yay.
Councilor Angelini.
Yay.
Councilor Ardinger.
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier.
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yay by a vote of 8-0. C-64 is granted. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, order that the sum of $30,750 be made to the municipal building maintenance expense account, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization fund. Move for the adoption of the order.
You heard the request for the adoption of the order. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the order, please say yay. Yay.
Yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? By a vote of 8-0, C-64 is, the order for C-64 is granted. Moving on to C-65.
C-65, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $59,613 be made to the library expense account, the same amount to be made from the library salary and wages account. We did get a letter from the library director, Alex Lent, dated March 11th, 2021, requesting these funds, and I will give a breakdown as follows. $1,800 is going to go to books. $12,600 is going to go to the replacement of equipment and furniture, and $45,212.41 is going to go to buildings and grounds. He's explained will be used to purchase a replacement microfilm printer, a replacement bookbinding repair machine, and a replacement boiler, bark mulch, new switches and firewalls, and an upgraded secure security management system. Additionally, this transfer will fund our Canopy movie database and our building cleaning contract through the end of the fiscal year. So, we have a director that is fairly new and is going through the library and found some things that he'd like to spend some money on, and certainly he has these funds because if anybody has noticed, it's just a transfer from one library account to another. So the funds were saved internally by way of there was salaries that weren't paid from earlier this fiscal year. So it would be my recommendation that we grant C-65, and I'll ask you that you check with members of my committee.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Pauline Cormier
I agree.
and Councilor Angelini.
I'm in agreement as well, Mr. President.
Thank you. C-65, unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll start with Councilor by roll call. I'll start with Councilor Frida.
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski.
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr.
Yay.
Councilor Angelini.
Yay.
Councilor Hardinger.
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier.
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yay by a vote of 8-0. C-65 has been granted. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, order that the sum of $59,613 be made to the library expense account, the same amount to be transferred from the library salary and wages account. Move for the adoption of the order.
Heard the request for the adoption of the order. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please say yay. Yay.
Yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? The adoption of the order is passed by a vote of 8-0. Moving on to C-66. Is the chairman ready to report?
Yes, Mr. President, C-66, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requests an appropriation of $62,924 be made to the fire capital outlay expense account, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization fund. Chief Sidlow had made this request. Dear Mayor Mazzarella, the fire department requests a sum of $62,924 for the purchase and installation of an ambulance power load power stretcher system. This money will be used to outfit our current 2016 ambulance to meet today's standards and to match our new 2021 ambulance, which is expected to be delivered shortly. The power load and power stretcher are designed to do the majority of the lifting, making a safer incident for both the patient and the fire department personnel. So obviously, this is infrastructure that they can install into an ambulance, and it does, it's pretty self-explanatory, it does the majority of the lifting, and certainly can help us save money potentially in the long run, from back injuries and other things that heavy lifting can cause. I think this is a small amount of money to pay to avoid an injury and to keep people healthy and safe and, save on costs that are related to people not being, in good working order and having to be out of work, because they have a problem. It would be my recommendation that we grant C-66, and once again, I'll ask that you check with members of my committee.
Very well. Councilor Pauline Cormier
I agree.
and Councilor Angelini.
I'm gonna give it as well.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee to grant C-66. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be by roll call vote, starting with Councilor Frida.
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski.
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr.
Yay.
Councilor Angelini.
Yay.
Councilor Ardinger.
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier.
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yay by a vote of 8-0. C-66 has been granted. Does the Chairman of Finance have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, order that the sum of $62,924 be made to the Fire Department Capital Outlay Expense Account, the same amount to be the Stabilization Fund. Move for the adoption of the order.
Heard the request for the adoption of the order. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please say yay. Yay.
Yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? By a vote of 8-0, the order is adopted. Moving on, C-67, does the chairman have an order? Is the chairman ready to report?
Yes, Mr. President, C-67, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requests that an appropriation of $140,000 be made to the School Department Transportation Expense Account prior year, the same amount to be made from the Stabilization Fund. As some may remember, the City of Leominster reached a settlement for the bus company sometime last year, and the full settlement was actually $500,000. We already appropriated $360,000, and the reason why we only appropriated $360,000 at the time was because there was already $140,000 in the account. It has come to the attention of the city that $100,000 had been planned to be spent on other transportation related expenses. Therefore, what they originally planning, they were going to be able to use the money for this. The school department had already promised or had already planned to use the money elsewhere. So they do need that additional $140,000 so that we can take care of this obligation and get the funding back into that account. So it would be my recommendation that we grant C-67. And once again, I'll ask that you check with members of my committee.
Okay, Councilor Pauline Cormier
I agree.
and Councilor Angelini.
Once again, I will make it unanimous, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Councilor. You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee to grant C-67. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be by roll call. Councilor Frida.
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski.
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr.
Yay.
Councilor Angelini.
Yay.
Councilor Ardinger.
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier.
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yay by a vote of 8-0. C-67 has been granted. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, order that the sum of $140,000 be made to the School Department Transportation Expense Account prior year, the same amount to be transferred from the Stabilization Fund. Move for the adoption of the order.
You've heard the request for the adoption of the order. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please say yay. Yay.
Yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? By a vote of 8-0, the order is adopted. Moving on to C-68, does the chairman have a report?
Yes, Mr. President, C-68, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $20,000 be made to the snow and ice overtime account, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization fund. So, C-68 and C-69 are sort of related, but, as far as C-68 is concerned, this is obviously, the snow and ice season is over, hopefully, although you never know in New England. But in any event, at this point, they're trying to tie up some loose ends and get all of the final bills paid, and they need to bring the account, back to where they need to be. And this $20,000 certainly will get this account there. So it would be my recommendation that we grant C-8, and I'll ask you to check.
Councilor Pauline Cormier
I agree.
and Councilor Angelini.
I will agree as well.
We've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee to grant C-68. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please, I'll start with, this will be by roll call, starting with Councilor Frida,
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski,
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr,
Yay.
Councilor Angelini,
Yay.
Councilor Ardinger,
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier,
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yea by a vote of 8-0. C-68 is granted. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, order that the sum of $20,000 be made to the snow and ice overtime account, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization fund. Move for the adoption of the order.
Heard with the request for the adoption of the order. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please say yea. Yea.
Yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? By a vote of 8-0, the order is adopted. Moving on to C-69. Does the chairman have a report?
Yes, Mr. President, C-69, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $230,000 be made to the snow and ice expense account transferred from the stabilization fund. We did get an explanation here that $100,000 of this is going to go toward vehicle rental and leases, as well as $100,000 to salt and sand, and $50,000 to overtime. So one of the things that Ray highlighted, obviously, some of this money is to clean up and finish off the year and any unpaid bills we've had from snow and ice. But also, Ray has been, Ray Racine, the director of the DPW, has been tipped off that it is very likely that the cost of salt is going to go much higher next year than it is now. So they are going to take some of this money and they are going to stock up now and prepare for next year. And since obviously we have the funding to do that, it will certainly save us money if we can purchase it now. It would be my recommendation. We grant C-9, and I'll ask that you check with members of my committee.
Very well. Councilor Pauline Cormier
I agree.
and Councilor Angelini.
I would certainly agree that inflation is on the rise, and I certainly recognize director's insight. And I'll be in total agreement with this.
Okay, for any unanimous recommendation of finance to grant C-69, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be by roll call. Councilor Frida,
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski,
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr,
Yay.
Councilor Angelini,
Yay.
Councilor Ardinger,
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier,
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yea by a vote of 8-0. C-69 has been granted. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, order that the sum of $230,000 be made to the snow and ice expense account, the same amount to be made from the stabilization fund. Move for the adoption of the order.
I've heard the request for the adoption of the order. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please say yea. Yay?
Yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? By a vote of 8-0, the order has been adopted. Moving on to legal affairs and C-63. Is the chairman ready to report?
And Mr. President, Communication 63, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requests that the City Council establish the creation of a Human Rights Commission for the City of Leominster. We did have a Legal Affairs Subcommittee meeting where we heard from members of the public and many advocates and proponents of this communication. I will be scheduling another Legal Affairs Subcommittee meeting at the end of this meeting in order to try to actually craft an actual ordinance for consideration by the council. So my recommendation tonight would be further time, and I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Very well. Councilor Shalfo Zephyr
I agree with that.
and Councilor David Cormier.
I also agree.
I've heard the unanimous recommendation of granting or giving C-63 further time. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of giving C-63 further time, please say yay. Yay.
Yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? By a vote of 8-0, C-63 has been given further time. Moving on to Ways and Means. We've finished the appointments, and that brings us to 55-21. Is Councilor Frida, are you prepared to report?
I am, Mr. President. I don't think there are any issues, but I will defer to the clerk because I don't have the information in front of me if there are any tax issues, but I think everything should be fine, unless there's some.
Councilor Frida, 55-21 all the way through to 60-21 all came back with favorable recommendations from police and the tax collector.
Okay, that's what I thought. And if there's no objection, I'll do these in black as well.
That's fine, Councilor.
All right, 55-21, George's Fine Jewelers, doing business as House of Relic. Request to renew license to deal secondhand articles at 1292 Main Street. 56-21, George's Fine Jewelers Incorporated. Request to renew license to deal secondhand articles at 255 North Main Street. 57-21, Fred's Auction House. Request to renew license to deal secondhand articles at 92 Pleasant Street. 58-21, Crown Jewelers. Request to renew license to deal secondhand articles at 12 Lindell Ave. 59-21, The Repair Palace Incorporated. Request to renew license to deal secondhand articles at 11 Stack Boulevard. And 60-21, GameStop Incorporated. Request to renew license to deal secondhand articles at 26 Orchard Hill Park Drive. My recommendation would be to grant. I will request you go to Councilor Dombrowski, third member of Ways and Means.
Councilor Dombrowski?
I agree, Mr. President.
Okay, unanimous recommendation of Ways and Means is to grant 55-21 through 60-21. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be by roll call. Councilor Frida?
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski?
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr?
Yay.
Councilor Angelini?
Yay.
Councilor Ardinger?
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier?
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier?
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yea by a vote of 8-0, 55-21, 56-21, 57-21, 58-21, and 59-21, and 60-21 are all granted. Thank you, Councilor Frida. We'll now move on to new business. Anybody have anything under new business? Okay, moving on to old business. Second reading of an ordinance. Councilor Dombrowski, ready to proceed with 32-21.
I am, Mr. President. Petition 32-21. Elizabeth Wood, Planning and Economic Development Director. Request to amend the zoning ordinance pertaining to the floodplain. My recommendation, Mr. President, is to adopt the second reading of the ordinance. I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Very well. Councilor Shalfo Zephyr
I agree.
and Councilor David Cormier.
I also agree.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation of Legal Affairs to grant the second reading of the ordinance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be by roll call, starting with Councilor Frida,
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski,
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr,
Yay.
Councilor Angelini,
Yay.
Councilor Arndinger,
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier,
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yea by a vote of 8-0. The second reading of 32-21 is granted. Moving on to 40-21.
Thank you, Mr. President. Petition 40-21, David R. Cormier, Ward 3 Counselor. Request to install a stop sign on Lincoln Terrace against northbound drivers at Graham Street. My recommendation is to adopt the second reading of the ordinance. I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Very well. Councilor Shalfo Zephyr
I agree.
and Councilor Cormier, David Cormier.
I also agree.
You heard the unanimous recommendation of Legal Affairs to adopt 40-21. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be by roll call. Councilor Frida,
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski,
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr,
Yay.
Councilor Angelini,
Yay.
Councilor Arndinger,
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier,
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yea by a vote of 8-0. The second reading of the 40-21 is adopted. Moving on to 41-21.
Thank you, Mr. President. Petition 41-21, David R. Cormier, Ward 3 Counselor. Request to install a stop sign on Hardy Drive against northbound drivers at Union Street. My recommendation is to adopt the second reading of the ordinance. I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr
I agree.
and Councilor David Cormier.
I also agree.
I heard the unanimous recommendation of Legal Affairs to adopt the second reading of 41-21. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be by roll call. Councilor Frida,
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski,
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr,
Yay.
Councilor Angelini,
Yay.
Councilor Arndinger,
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier,
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yea by a vote of 8-0. 41-21. Second reading is adopted. Moving on to 42-21.
Thank you, Mr. President. Petition 42-21, David R. Cormier, Ward 3 Counselor. Request to install a stop sign on Hardy Drive against westbound drivers at Pleasant Street. My recommendation is to adopt the second reading of the ordinance. I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Very well. Councilor Shalfo Zephyr
I agree.
and Councilor David Cormier.
I also agree.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation to adopt the second reading of 42-21. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be by roll call. Councilor Frida,
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski,
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr,
Yay.
Councilor Angelini,
Yay.
Councilor Arndinger,
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier,
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yea by a vote of 8-0. 42-21. Second reading is adopted. Moving on to 43-21.
Thank you, Mr. President. Petition 43-21, David R. Cormier, Ward 3 Counselor. Request to install a stop sign on Francis Street against southeastbound drivers at Willard Street. My recommendation is to adopt the second reading of the ordinance. I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Very well. Councilor Shalfo Zephyr
I agree.
and Councilor David Cormier.
I also agree.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation to adopt the second reading of 43-21. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be by roll call. starting with Councilor Frida,
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski,
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr,
Yay.
Councilor Angelini,
Yay.
Councilor Arndinger,
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier,
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yea by a vote of 8-0. The second reading of 43-21 is adopted. Moving on to 44-21.
Thank you, Mr. President. Petition 44-21, David R. Cormier, Ward 3 Counselor. Request to install a stop sign on Tucker Drive against eastbound drivers at New Lancaster Road. My recommendation is to adopt the second reading of the ordinance. I'd ask you to form my committee.
Okay, Councilor Shalfo Zephyr
I agree.
and Councilor David Cormier.
Also agree.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation of Legal Affairs to adopt the second reading of 44-21. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be by roll call. Councilor Frida,
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski,
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr,
Yay.
Councilor Angelini,
Yay.
Councilor Arndinger,
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier,
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yea by a vote of 8-0. The second reading of 44-21 is adopted. Councilor Dombrowski, did you want to set your subcommittee meeting time and date?
Yes, I'd like to. I'm looking at either Monday, April 19th, or Wednesday, April 21st.
Councilor Dombrowski, April 19th is a holiday this year.
That's why it's open. So April 21st, I don't know if that's a week from this Wednesday, if that works for my committee members. I'm thinking 5:30.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr
That works for me.
and Councilor David Cormier.
That also works for me.
All right, so April 21st at 5:30.
Is that good for everyone?
Perfect.
Yep. Yep.
Anybody else have any
And,
objection? Okay,
Mr. President?
yes.
If I could ask the clerk to, send notification to the citizens who've been advocating for this, as well as the mayor, to let them know that we're going to be taking this up in subcommittee if they want to, just so they know if they want to attend. And also, I'd like to put the solar petition from the planning board director on the agenda as well. And if the clerk could notify the planning board secretary, as well as planning board member Patrick Perla. I know he's done a lot of work on this particular ordinance, so I'd like him to certainly be aware of it as well. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anything else before we go to community calendar? Okay, does anybody have anything under the community calendar? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Councilor David Cormier, I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Angelini.
Councilor Angelini, second. All those in favor of adjournment, please say yay. Yay?
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you very much, all. I hope you have a wonderful week.
Thank you,
Good
Mr.
night,
President.
everybody.
Good night, all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
The Leominster City Council meeting is funded in part by DeCarolis Insurance Agency at www.decarolisinsuranceagency.com.